Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you both for coming and giving your testimony today. I have a few questions surrounded around one topic in particular, so it'll get more progressive as we go. Could you tell me how many offices or facilities associated with DSS are scheduled to close with this budget?
The only one is Torrington.
It is Torrington.
It is correct.
Okay. I find it curious that with these financial documents here in your testimony, none of that mentions the Torrington closure, but I have to dig halfway into the governor's book to find this very small italicized print that states that. On February 8th, the morning of February 8th, last Wednesday, a mere hour before the governor gave his budget address, Commissioner Brenby actually traveled to Torrington to the office to break the news to the staff that in the governor's budget, in an hour before it was released, that the office was closing. I find it disheartening that he chose that method, and I had a chance to ask Secretary Barnes last week, whose decision ultimately was it? Did it come from the executive branch? Was it an internal decision after I hope a lengthy review from your department, ma'am? Could you elaborate on that?
I can tell you that there was, we have looked at the size of the Torrington office and the productivity of the office as it compares to our other offices. And again, unfortunately, as we look for savings, this is, an unfortunate event that occurs. Torrington, for a while, has had eligibility workers as well as child support staff, as well as social work services staff. We, because of reductions in our staffing, child support staff and social work staff have actually left the Torrington office months ago. I don't recall how many months ago, because we needed to put them in other locations to help better serve all the individuals, including those in the Torrington catchment area. So Torrington is a very small office. I do acknowledge the fact that it is in a corner that is more remote than others. But the information that we have on the productivity of the office and the clients that are served there, it made the most sense. In June of 2016, Department of Transportation started a bus line that went from Torrington to Waterbury. So that has been operational since June of 2016. I understand that the fare to get there is one way, $1.50. If you're over the age of 65 and or disabled, you can get half fare if you show your Medicare card. We're also trying to educate our clients across the state to try to do more things online. We also have community partners out in that area, and I did ask for that information. I didn't get it, but I think it's an important piece that we should get to you during the subcommittee, is identification of the community partners in the Torrington catchment area that actually provide application assistance to those folks.
So could you tell us what the savings are projected to be by closing and how many jobs would be eliminated? If not eliminated, are they reassigned?
That's correct, sir. All of the jobs, there are 17 eligibility workers that remain in the Torrington office right now, and they are all being reassigned to other offices within DSS.
So for the record, nobody is losing a position if this closure goes through?
That is correct.
If I could, there are some savings associated with the facility piece. So while the staffing will be reassigned and there will be no savings there are some facility-based savings related to reduction in lease costs, reduction in operating costs, utilities, and security costs for the facility that are included in the budget, and they total approximately $400,000.
$400,000. Okay, so 2 years ago when this proposal to close the office came through, the governor's office projected a savings of $2.7 million. So that's quite a difference.
I believe at that time there wasn't the intention to retain the staff, and there was, I could be wrong, that was my understanding.
Right, so the original savings numbers clearly included a staffing
reduction.
savings. The department recognizing the staffing needs that we have, we were allowed to try to absorb that savings without having to remove the staff. So primarily achieve the savings in a broader personal services context through attrition rather than having to release any staff.
Okay, if you could just indulge me for a minute or two. Litchfield County is a big area. We have about 180,000 people, square mileage of over 1,000, and it is very hard for those small towns, for people in those small towns, to even get to Torrington. I understand there is a transportation plan in place from Torrington to Waterbury, but I would be doing my constituents a disservice if I didn't explain to you that Route 8 is not the western border of Connecticut. And I am tired of our small towns losing opportunities, losing resources, and losing offices to the bigger cities. Torrington, for all intents and purposes, is our nucleus of the northwest corner. There are a lot of state buildings, state offices in Torrington that I'm sure has a few empty offices to house some of these DSS officials. To ask the residents of the northwest corner to tack on another 30 to 45 minutes each way to their commute, if they're going to go now to Waterbury or to Hartford, is preposterous. I understand that we are dealing with significant fiscal hardships in the state. But to simply look at a $400,000 savings in the bigger picture, when you have 180,000 people in Litchfield County and 6% of that number of individuals are living below the federal poverty line, and 4% of that number of families are below the federal poverty line, Litchfield County is the oldest county in the United States with a median age of over 55. So you put all those variables together, and you can still justify closing this office. I don't see how that works. So I urge you, the both of you, if you can possibly consider, I understand there are operational costs that may be significant in lease and other things. You currently share the building with DCF. So maybe there's a renegotiation of the contract that could be in order, or at least look at other avenues to house these officials in Torrington, keep them in the northwest corner, because we cannot afford to give our families another reason to leave Connecticut or to leave the northwest corner to a bigger city. We need our residents, and we will protect them at all costs. That's all I have. I just urge that consideration, and I hope we can certainly have more dialogue in the future. So,
Absolutely.
thank you very much. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.